Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? If you're here live this morning, say g'day. And if you're here for the replay, remember to do a hashtag replay so we can connect and I can say g'day. It's great to have you with me this morning. And my name is Linda. I'm a trauma recovery coach and I come and share information with you so that you can build an increasing an awareness of how you can move from recovery into remission with complex PTSD. It's super important to have strategies because it's been shown that talk therapy isn't the way through. It can absolutely help us on our journey from recovery to remission, but more than anything we need personalised strategies because recovery from complex PTSD is different for each and every one of us. My role in all of this is predominantly around the neurology and biology. Good morning, Kira. It's wonderful to have you here joining in, and I hope you enjoyed this morning. So my role is the neurology, the biology, the physiology, and how we use the information around what's actually happening in our brain on each level so that we can progress more rapidly, for want of a better terminology. We can progress and see actual improvement every step of the way. That's my niche, if you like. There's many different niches and that you will find many different people along the way who specialise in different areas of it. This just happens to be mine because I lost everything. I lost the ability to walk, talk, to remember anything. I lost all my cognitive function. So I've had to work at this level before we even had language and the science to back it up. And it's great to be able to share information with you that really does help. Now, take the information, take it to your therapist, to a trauma coach, and get them to help you individualise the information into your personal life and personalise the strategy so that you can work through step by step. Okay, this information is not meant for you to go, oh yeah, I can do all of that, because we don't. It's in the experience. We take the information and we put it into our day-to-day life and we increase our experiences in order that we overcome anxiety, we overcome depression, and this gives us our life back. Okay, so in order to keep going, let me just grab the infographic for everybody. Now, for you, alright, so today I want to talk to you about working through the overwhelm, what the overwhelm is, and how we can recognise it, how we can begin to implement different strategies into our day-to-day life. So not only can we recognise when it's happening, we can also begin to take steps, one step once a day, to break free from the overwhelm. Now, it can be really challenging to understand that this starts at the neurobiological level because we have to, in order to begin to develop an awareness around the overwhelm, we start at the physical level, and that helps us go, right, this is where it's impacting my life, and then I work it backwards, okay? So the first thing we want to look at is, and I've got the book here for you this morning, yay! Is how we can begin to recognise how it's happening for us individually, all right? Now, and this is the challenge of complex PTSD because it is so individual. Now, in Pete Walker's book, and I highly recommend it because it is very, very relatable for everybody who picks it up. Everybody. You can Google reviews on the internet about this book and you will see everybody say, right, it's just amazing how he can nail it. So our personality type that developed from the trauma comes into play with the overwhelm. So the first thing you're going to notice when you feel overwhelmed, if you're not used to it yet, is what happens for you, your response to the overwhelm in day-to-day life. So whether you're a fight type, now a fight type is somebody that comes out and they literally are a fight type. They don't hesitate, they're right straight out there and into fight mode. That's the simplest, most condensed way to put it, all right? A flight type is somebody who, when they feel overwhelmed, they'll run, okay? And this is one, some of us can have a predominant personality type and a sub-personality type, but they go together. So one of mine is flight, and I've only just come to recognise this recently, and I didn't realise it was happening, and it was disrupting my life because every time the overwhelm would happen, I'd run from the change. So if change comes, no matter how that change looks in your day-to-day life, so think about a change in your day-to-day life as something that comes along that disrupts the norm of your day-to-day life. So it can be as simple as your gym messages you and says, we're changing the format or the structure of our gym memberships. And it was enough, without me even realising it, it was enough for me to go into flight. And I was like, oh, that's it, I've got to go down there, I'm leaving, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't till about a week later I went, oh my goodness, this is a habit of mine that when someone announces a change, I'm like, that's it, or the overwhelm's happening and I didn't realise, I'm running, I'm going off, I've got to take control of this situation somehow. And me, once I realised it, I was like, oh my goodness, this habit or this way that when the overwhelm happens, I didn't even realise, disrupts my life. It stops me from being able to be consistent in what I'm doing. Because the best thing for me, having complex trauma, I'd been at the gym for 3 years, was to stay there and work it through, okay? So think about the different areas that flight could impact your life. Where does pressure come along or change come along? And you just, right, that's it, I've got to go, I'm going to take control and I'm going to sort this out. Instead of asking the question, what suits me long term for my trauma brain? And consistency is more important than rushing around changing things on a dime, like just, crazy. Well, it's not crazy, but it can be crazy making in our life because we're chasing our tail. Okay? Freeze type, I've seen that in me. It's not predominant at all, but I've begun to notice, really develop an awareness lately where if I've got a number of things to do in my day-to-day life, so we've got different aspects of housework that needs doing, different aspects of my work that needs doing, and then all of a sudden I find that I'm frozen and I'm not doing anything, okay? And that's the overwhelm. When it happens, it's like, and I'll get to why this happens. I'll get to why the overwhelm happens in a minute. Hang on, I just need a sip of coffee. Did you bring your coffee with you this morning? Did you bring your notepaper? Okay. So that's a freeze type. We can recognise that the overwhelm's happening because we literally get nothing done, all right? It impacts us so incredibly. So remember, it starts at the brain level, but we're looking for clues when it's happening in our physical, in our day-to-day life. The fawn type, which many of us have, is linked into the easiest and most simplest way for me to explain it and not keep you for forever this morning, is codependence, and it is a major, major one with complex PTSD. Most of us know about codependence and the fawn type, and it's, in a nutshell, we'll do everything for everybody before we even think to do anything for ourselves. And really, that's back to front thinking, because think of when we're on a plane and we're a parent, and the first thing the air hostesses say is, put your mask on first and then your child's. And we normally think, oh no, I'll take care of my kid first. This is what we do in day-to-day life. We've got to put our own oxygen mask on first. Okay, so if we can build our awareness around these physical reactions, then we're going to be better able to identify what is happening on the neurobiological level. All right, we're going to be able to say, oh my goodness, that's my brain. It started at my brain, and I can then take, I don't like using the word control, I can then begin to manage what's happening in my day-to-day life a whole lot better. And as we begin to manage the order of our day in a more productive way, we begin to feel so much better about ourselves too. And it actually does change. It begins to create new neural pathways in our day-to-day life, that life is manageable. Now, with this, we need to understand how the brain is the driver behind all of these. So in our childhood, so I deal with complex PTSD, which develops in our childhood, and it changes the way our brain develops. And this is scientifically proven. And you can research this. One of the best books is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, and it will give you incredible insight into the brain in a very easy way to read, and you'll just sit there every page going, oh my goodness, oh wow, I so understand this. But for us, the predominant thing that we need to get our heads around, and I say that as a bit of a pun, is that in the most primitive part of our brain in childhood, because that's the first part of the brain that's there, okay, is that instead of being nurtured and loved and so many more responses than needed, our brain developed with a fear response. So instead of our brain developing with the understanding that this is manageable, all right, so when we cried, someone responded, and we learnt to know that that feeling, this is manageable, because there's a response where we were shown that there's nurturing, there's love, there's caring, there is an adult around who is helping us, through their responses to our emotional needs, sleep, food, touch, then we develop a response that this life, things that happen in our life, are manageable. Now, someone who hasn't experienced trauma, when something comes along in their life, their very first thought is this is manageable. When we've developed in childhood with all the things that begin to create a complex PTSD inducing family, our first response is fear, and there's other things that come from the fear. But we today, if we can understand that the overwhelm that happens in our physical life starts at the neurobiological level, and it's a fear response, then we're going to start beginning to be able to go, right, I can see that I'm in fight, flight, freeze or fawn, and I need to retrain my brain that this is manageable. Okay? It takes time. It's not something that happens by doing this once. Consistency is key. And when we learn that this is manageable, then we're able to go, right, I know that my brain's having this response right now, but I also know that I can retrain my brain that what's happening around me now is manageable. If there's something that I need to go and learn, I can go and learn it. And if there's something I need to understand more deeply, I can seek out that help to understand it more deeply. one of the things that happens is we come through our complex PTSD inducing families not having learned so many things. So we do need to reparent ourselves. It's a key thing. So it's having compassion and going, okay, I don't really know how to do this, but I'm capable of being responsible enough to learn how to do it. And for me, a lot of what happens is I need to understand the order of how to think about this. And once I understand the order of how to think about this, it does become manageable. And I found this in my business the other day too. I listened to a lady who is just so brilliant in business and really heartfelt, compassionate. And she put in order the very basics for me. And all of a sudden a light went on and I went, oh, this is manageable. Let's go. And this happens even in motherhood or parenthood, that we need to learn what is the order here, what's going on, and then it becomes manageable. Okay? So when we do this and when we get to this point, we do need to connect with a friend and talk through what's happening. So I ring my friends and I say, okay, the overwhelm's happening. This is what I've got on my plate. And I'm just talking to you now. So once you connect, once you've got that connection with someone else, it makes everything become a lot easier to talk through and work through. So bring the order into the physical. So we are making our brain work in a different way than it's used to. Okay? So normally it'd go into the overwhelm and we say we're triggered and we don't know what to do from there. So what we're doing is retraining our brain what to do from here on in. And you can do this in Facebook groups as well. They are wonderful for doing this. Going in and saying, right, I need to learn how to manage this in my day-to-day life and I just need to talk it through with you guys. And it's fantastic. Okay, please learn to identify where you do need help and ask for help. I had a day the other day where I was doing a bunch of stuff and all of a sudden I realised that just the washing machine beeping, because I didn't know why, was enough to trigger the overwhelm, like the neurobiological response in me, because I was trying to do several things at once. But what I did was I asked my daughter for help, because when we're in the overwhelm, our perception is offline as well. And when I say offline, I mean it's not connected in our brain part. So it can be hard for us to see what we need to see. And so we go, right, I need help. And so I just said, Chloe, help. I don't know what's going on with the washing machine. And she came down, looked at it, went, pressed a button, and that was it. And she said, oh, Mum, you just didn't put it on cold water. And I went, oh, my goodness, it can be so, so, so simple. And this is why we learn to ask for help. I would never have asked for help once upon a time. I would have just battled on my own, and it does not help us go from recovery to remission if we won't ask for help. All right? So in order to begin to work through the overwhelm in the early stages is focus only on what you need to do and let the other stuff go. If the other stuff needs doing, it'll still be there. Just focus on what I need to do right here, right now. And I can guarantee that this works because the other 2 days ago I got so much washing, folding and work done. It just blew my mind because I followed these simple principles. Remember to breathe. Remember the overwhelm triggers the fear response, and in that we will begin to shallow breathe. And one of the things we need to retrain our body-brain connection is to incorporate our breath into our day-to-day life. Okay, take just one thing and begin to build that awareness into your day-to-day life, and you will begin to see the changes. Build that awareness, and I know you can do this. Okay, have the most gorgeous day if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, the most wonderful evening if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and I will see you again tomorrow to give you hopefully just a small snip of something that can help change your day-to-day life. moving you from recovery to remission. Bye for now.